Oh, hi everyone. Welcome to the stream. Just catching up a little bit here on the Invitational game. Luke versus Chutereve, Crane mirror match. Off maligned, but these are two very high level Crane players, so I think we're going to see some really interesting stuff here. Sorry, I'll go silent for a few minutes here, just finishing setup and things. But I should be rambling nonstop soon enough. Oh, all right. So may the Crane emergent victorious. Yeah. I guess the clan itself can't lose here, one way or another. Uh, but okay, we see Brash Samurai start from Chutereve, which is of course a very strong true drop, arguably one of the best of the game. But on the other side, guest of honor. So Luke, aka Bitmetal, is one of the first. Is the first to get the guest of honor, which is pretty key in this matchup. As everyone knows, Crane loves to draw cards. Crane loves to play cards, and guest of honor, well, at least kills the latter part of that, which is the fun part of that. Drawing can be fun too. Also on Luke's side, we have a favorable ground, so that's a very good start for him because he can get the guest of honor into two conflicts. Now, matching off against Brash Samurai means it's certainly tilted military for Chutereve, so he should be able to do some work with that against the honor, against the guest of honor. But not being able to do any pumps outside of attachments when that if that guest of honor is favorable grounded in could be a problem. But going first means that that's not necessarily going to be an option unless he wants to bow the guest of honor on defense for military, which is probably not what Luke's looking to do. So we'll see. Oh, hits shameful display. Oh, everything is going Luke's way at the beginning here. Um, of course, the Brash Samurai famously can honor itself. But this gives Luke the option of even backing out with favorable ground because the Brash Samurai would need an additional card to break here and then using his own. So we'll see how this goes. So, yep. Oh, and Brash Samurai gets assassinated after the honor. And of course, because he hit Shameful Display, um, there was no option for any kind of Voice of Honor there. So pretty strong start here for Luke so far. Because he's going to have an honored guest of honor to push his own voices of honor or his own voice control for the next possibly 4 rounds here. And his attack outside of a political rival would stop it, of course, but Stewart is not going to, and he pulls his guest of honor back, so he's able to do that. So outside of a political rival, we may be looking at a break here on political. We'll see how this goes. Nick's commenting. Well, it still could happen, Nick. Maybe the energy's traveling. It takes some time to get there. Oh, we do see a political rival. Okay, well that certainly is going to put a kink in any kind of breaking plans that shoot Luke might have had this turn because 6 political strength on defense is quite strong, and he'd need an insane number of fans to break, even to needs fan to even win. He could say double for shame and still get a break. We'll see. Oh, well, Oh, he dropped the political rival in after. Oh, sorry. Apologies, stream. Catching up. Yes. He dropped the political rival in. No, there was a past conflict. Okay, there was a past conflict, and then from. And then the political rival went around. Okay, so I guess shooters opted to trade breaks here instead of defending with the political rival, which is very good on, but at the same time, having that covert makes it very good on attack as well, especially against a used shameful display, which doesn't provide a lot of options for defense outside of like a Stewart just to stop the break. And even if that did happen, he could optionally pull out with a favorable ground as well. So a good play gets the break on shameful display, which you like to see first round that you see it. Guest of Honor goes into fertile fields, providing that economic boost for shoot. Gives him a fate, gives him a card, 5 strength to 5 strength. So currently breaking. No events possible and only one fate on shoot side. So, I mean, he could prevent the break with a Stewart. He might as well use the favorable ground to prevent the unopposed there, but he opts not to. Loses the favorable ground anyway. I mean, tiny. Play. I don't think this. I don't think this game's going to go to dishonor between two cranes. It's possible at some point. Maybe after the secondary cycle of deck with Yoshi, they might get down to 0. But with all the self-honoring going around, it's very hard for a crane to dishonor another crane. Okay, so we go into the next round. We got Guest of Honor facing off against Political Rival. I'd say the board's still definitely in Luke's favor here, although the Political Rival is a strong card. Flips and buys a Brash Samurai. He's got Doji Hataro and a Broken Province, but she's a heavy investment at this point. Savvy Politician is solid, although she doesn't really have another target that would be strong to honor, although honoring 2 targets, of course, turns on Shoot's voice control. So it's less about the glory than it is about the voice of honor, I think, in this case. We get a pass from Shoot, and then buys Doji Whisper. So Shoot banking a bunch of fate going into the next round. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to check deck lists before, so let me just throw them up really quick here for people. Oops. Sorry. See, just to see the splash. Okay, so we have Shoot is on Scorpion Splash, so he's got Fate Worse Than Death, he's got 2 Calling Favors, Forged Edict, and a single Meek Informant. And Luke is on the Dragon Splash, obviously 2 most popular splashes for Crane at this point. Good percentage of the meta. He's on the 2 Fury and 3 Let Go. I mean, Fury obviously being 3 of before, but now because of Rise of Phoenix and all their stand effects, not as big as it was. So Shoot certainly has, I mean, he has 2 things: another political rival, and he's got Fate Worse Than Death to spend all that fate on that he's banking. Shoot sacrifices the storehouse to get cards. 15 to 12. I mean, Shoot has some card advantage here, but it's not acute at this point. Shoot bids 3 to kind of recover from that assassination. Second round of the game, you can be pretty confident that your opponent's at least leaning towards a 5 bid. So if you want to recover some assassination honor, it's pretty easy to grab. We'll see if those 3 cards make that much of a difference at this point. Favor, interestingly, Favor is with no one. So yeah, Yoshi didn't flip anyway, but that'll be a very important part of this game as well, the Favor and when Yoshi shows up, etc. Savvy Politician used to honor itself and the political rival. So now Voice of Honor is turned on for Shoot and off for Luke. Until the Brash Samurai is used. In which case we, again, neutralize for both of them. But of course, that Brash Samurai could be assassinated itself if it's used on attack. So we'll see if Luke opts to attack with it first or try to use it defensively and get it turned. Oh no, sorry, he used Away the Crane to honor Brash Samurai. This is not something you often see because Brash Samurai, of course, can honor itself. And that was after a Fury of actually Shoot used a Voice of Honor to cancel the first wave Crane, and then he used another one, I believe. Sorry, just catching up on the chat here. These players definitely know their clans. They're going pretty quick. And the Brash Samurai heads into Meditations on the Tau. Not terrible. It is a 2-drop. Losing a Fate is obviously a bummer. Not sure there's much that that Chutereve can do on board to stop this. We'll see what kind of tricks he wants to use out of his hand. So with the meditations, that samurai, brash samurai is ultimately, I don't think, going to be using his ability at all. I get the way of the crane, obviously, to turn on uh, or to cancel. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, maybe someone in chat can illuminate why, for me, why the way of the crane was used in the brash samurai. I mean, because he can still be assassinated because neither one of them has voice options. And and now it won't be able to use its ability at all since it's going away at the end of the turn. But okay, so the savvy politicians put in the way to defend, to make the break more difficult at least. I mean, ultimately, if he pumps it high enough for the break, he can get him to use cards, and then we see a second assassination on the politician from Luke. So maybe that, I guess that 3 bid was very useful for Luke this time, because now he's 6 honor down from assassinations, but bumped up a few honor from the 3 to 5 bid earlier. We see a steward of law come in. There is a policy debate between that ends in a draw between the brash samurai and the steward of law, with shoot bidding the maximum of 5 and Bitmetal 3. So he's recovered more of that honor. So we're currently at 7 to 7 honor, even after 2 assassinations from Luke. The card disadvantage has grown. 5 cards advantage for shoot, which you would imagine with 7 to 7 honor and 2 assassinations having played. But the Meditations of the Tau is broken after after Luke takes it to an 8 military strength after Bonsai and the steward is pulled out of the conflict to be reused. I mean, he wasn't going to stop the break regardless, so pulling it out is obviously the right play. Political rival comes in. No, steward of law probably going to opt for his military attack. No, political. Shoot, thinking. Maybe I should let him think. These guys are moving pretty quick. A little think time is not a problem at all. Covert's the guest of law, guest of honor, of course. Hits his own meditations, which is a good find there, because the political rival obviously only has a no fate for it. Now he'll need something additional to break. I'd have to check the deck list. I'm not sure he has fans that he could utilize in this case. We actually, and then the and punishing the poor caster. The policy debate failed, so we don't get to see anyone's hand. We don't get any additional information. Which is personally, I don't love the card policy debate. I think it's okay, but from watching a lot of streams and then doing some occasional commenting, policy debate is very good for that. That you actually get to see the hand and make comments and stuff on it. So the Whisperers put in the way with their own ornate fan, which is winning for the defender at this point. So let's see what kind. I mean, obviously, she will have for shames, but let's check to see if he's got fans. He has 3 fans in his deck, so, and 2 katanas. Okay, good to know. So being 17 cards in, there's an okay chance he has one. I don't know if he wants to invest in a character with no fate just to win a ring. Fire ring's somewhat important at this point to dishonor that guest of honor. And so that going into next round, he won't be down an honored character again. Just to check in chat, I assume because no one's mentioned anything, maybe they just can't hear me period, that my volumes are okay, coming through, etc. on the stream. So if I don't know if Nix is still watching, give me a thumbs up there. Oh, so we do see a fan come down on the political rival side, taking it to a win. And I'm sure Shoot, being 5 cards up, is happy to trade card for card at this point. Shoot won that conflict. Dishonored the guest of honor, as one would expect, because he's the one with the fate, and the character's not bowed. That only makes sense. Go into Luke's second conflict. It's a political. Obviously, he has the onboard advantage for this with the guest of honor, and with only military left on Shoot sides. I mean, the guest of honor is not a great defender, so. Thanks, guys. But yeah, pretty fast and furious on the. We have 1 break on Luke's side, 2 breaks on Shoot's side. So Crane, doing more of a tempo Crane. It looks like Days of Core here, where they're just going for that 1 guaranteed break a turn almost. Hits Manicure Garden, giving more Seeker Fate for Shoot, who's now gotten both of his Seeker Fate. Luke has not gotten any yet at this point, although. And meditation has been used, so you might get into a case where he gets double air provinced and loses 1. Not a massive deal, but always kind of a bummer. Defense of the Steward of Law, which does prevent the break at this point. He's going to have to dedicate another resource, which he's down to 6 cards, so he may not want to do that. The For Shame, the famous Steward of Law For Shame combo is off, obviously with Guest of Honor in there. Guest of Honor gets honored. Ornate Fan, the second fan. From Shoot, he's 1 left in his deck, goes down the Steward Law, still preventing the break. So he's okay. This is a favor play because he's For Shame. Okay. So the For Shame was off for Chutereve, For Shame Steward of Law combo, but it was certainly on for Luke, which is always kind of it can be a double-edged sword. In comes the second political rival with 3 fates, so very serious about keeping this guy around. Yeah, he has to think defensively, being down 1 province break at this point. A big investment on political rival, but it's a great defender for this conflict, and then additional coverts going forward. Plus, additionally, something you can honor yourself and have around for a while. So 3 fate is certainly not surprising at all for such an important character in this matchup. But Bitmetal. Attacker, defender. Sorry, let me just check up in the chat. Manicure. How did the attacker win that fight? So, I must have missed something really serious there. Because it was a political rival, wasn't it? Isn't that supposed to be 6 to... Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know he had a... What? Oh, okay, obviously, I'm missing something obvious about how the guest won? The guest of honor won that fight? Let's see. Defender 6, attacker... Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Whisper was there as well, duh. Yeah, okay. Okay, apologies. Yeah. Anyway, catching up. Cats are catching up here. So he wins but doesn't break on Manicure Garden. Shoot gets first player Doji Challenger, which is definitely the time you want the Doji Challenger. Very strong, 3-2 drop. Not a lot of military prowess on the other side of the board, so Doji has his pick of pulling people into conflicts that they're most likely going to lose. Hasami might be a good choice, although the honor pressure is not that acute right now, but certainly getting relatively strong character, or guest of honor, for example, pull her into a military challenge, etc. So we got a fairly juicy air ring. Air's not the best choice, but 2 fates hard to ignore. Earth ring might also be a good choice just to push that card advantage even more. We see bids of 5 to 5. Storehouse on Luke's side. No, Chutereve's side, sorry. And so buying wise, we had 1 character purchased each. The political rival, Asami was purchased 3 fate on Luke's side, and Doji Challenger 3 fate on Shoot's side. So he starts off the conflict Heading into Cautious Scout province. We'll see what it is on the flip. I mean, obviously, it's going to be an air province of some kind, so that's a nice little one fate for shoot. Ring choice. I would expect either air or earth, but void's not particularly impactful at this point. Hits a fertile fields. Seeker of Air Fate, going to get a card, which should help actually squeeze that gap a little bit on card advantage. Voice is turned on for Luke, but it's off, so that'll be important. So seeing how your entire board couldn't win this conflict militarily, I would imagine Luke's not going to defend, and but somebody will get pulled into the conflict anyway. If you certainly don't want to defend and then get something else pulled in and still lose, two characters losing to one is bad news. Oh, it's a contested water ring. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess definitely water ring has a lot of ring value at this point, being able to get out the political rival or the guest of honor or even the 5 political strength Doji Whisper. All makes sense. Leaving a lot of fate on rings, but at this point I think you're doing okay and you probably just want to take a powerful character out for the round. Oh, we see Kami Unleashed, which is a new thing I'm seeing a lot in Crane decks. So now he's got the option to bow 2 characters. The cost of 2 fate, it's pretty good. Obviously there's cheaper ways to bow characters, but still, you're taking out pretty powerful characters on the other side. Plus, he can use it for the break if he has nothing else. So he's now currently breaking when he wasn't before with the Challenger. He could pull in the Doji Whisper to enable the break still. So this could lead to, let's say, if he pulls in the Doji Whisperer, but if he plans on using the Kami, I don't know if he needs... we see a Steward of Law dropped on Luke's side. Is he going to fade it? Usually Steward of Law is often faded. Yeah, he's going to fade it. He's just having to do this manually. He's got the Voice of Honor on his side, so he can get away with his for shames, etc., which I don't... He's played 1. This conflict? Or maybe 2. I'd have to take a peek. Let's see. Can I look? Yeah, I can look. 4 shames. Only 1. So there's a pretty good chance he has another for that Challenger. Does he draw on his card? Imagine he has right off the bat. Yes, he does. So currently don't have a break, but a win. Doji Challenger still to activate, and I believe it's gone back to shoot for his action. I think they might still be in manual mode, though. So I don't know, chat. Who would you pull in, you think? You have a lot of cards. I don't know if you really want to pull in Guest of Honor, but you don't want Guest of Honor attacking you either. Although you have a political rival to defend that. Political rival itself can't be pulled in, so you have Whisper rival or Guest of Honor. So. Fine Katana goes down on the Challenger, so definitely breaking at this point. Oh, Steward of Law gets angry. Gets bonsai'd. So we currently have a win for the attacker, but no break thanks to that bonsai. Challenger still hasn't pulled anyone in. I'd imagine at some point definitely going to. Kami sacrificed for the water ring effect. Oh, I don't know why I'm thinking you only pull in people with no fate. You can pull in Asami too, but Asami would mean you're losing the challenge at this point. But now with the for shame, definitely losing. Pulls in the Guest of Honor. Yeah, that makes sense. Give up the ghost in this conflict. The Asami effect isn't that powerful at this point, so getting the stronger character in is good. So it's pretty. I mean, we're getting late into province break, so pretty big investment from both players at this point. But the Doji challenger is going to stick around with that katana, so it'd be a military force, especially in this matchup for the rest of the game. And we did end up with three bowed characters. One of them new, of course, in Stuart Law, but on Luke's side. So I think a fairly successful attack on for Luke, even though there wasn't a win or a break. He did take away a lot of the threat on the political backswing for Shoot. He still has 8 political strength on board coming in, but that political rival is 6 on defense. So that's pretty impressive. Card advantage is 6 cards, so still kind of sticking around that sort of 5-6 card mark for Shoot. So even though he's down a province, that's it's one part where he's definitely up. Board-wise, board-wise, pretty even. Going into next turn, I might give a slight nod to Shoot. I mean, Challenger with a katana is obviously pretty hard to stop a lot of times for a Crane clan, unless they get some other similar military character themselves. And Asami, an unhonored Asami, is not that strong in this matchup at this point. So Asami going in by herself against the Manicured Gardens. So let's see if Shoot decides to block with a political rival, or if he wants to use the political rival, its covert ability to go around the only defender that Luke has at this point on the other side. I guess it'll partly depend on how much Shoot values that, well, the ring and the honor that Asami can get. I mean, if he blocks the rival, then at this point Asami can't use her ability, but if he blocks for the Steward, she can. So, oh no, it has to be more, I believe. Sorry, as an old Lion player, I think everything's LPB, where it's equal to. No, so even the Steward, she couldn't have used her ability. Ring choice is Earth, yeah. So he definitely wants to get certainly squeeze that card advantage down a little bit, leaving a 2 Fate air ring. Yeah, I'm too much of a Fate whore when I play. Every time whatever ring has the most on it, which is definitely a flaw in my play, I like to grab and take away from my opponent. But certainly, air ring is a bit weak until opponent gets down in air, so down in honor. So I certainly understand it. Attempted policy debate between the rival and Asami. Cancelled by voice of honor. You see Away the Crane to take Asami up to 5. Still not winning the conflict, but Asami's going to be around. She has 3 Fate Hunters, so certainly having her honored is a very good thing at this point. Keep those voice of honors on Luke's side. Oh, we see a second fan, I believe, from Luke. Taking it to the win. And Shoot's used 2 of his fans, so unless he has the third or another conflict character, then which would just get immediately bowed. So we see wait, did I miss something? Oh, the For Shamed. We see some court games followed by a For Shame to bow Asami. So Shoot wins that conflict on defense. And now we'll flip back to Shoot's attack on the political, of which he currently has 3 on board versus 5 if the Doji Whisperer chooses to defend, which I can't imagine why she wouldn't. She's not particularly strong in the military attack at this point. So, I mean, Steward of Law can just scoop up 2 Fate in a lost cause or a losing cause. I think it's still a pretty good move for Shoot here. So, head back to meditations. I mean, Ferdel's also been used, so you kind of have your choice of ways to go. If you happen to have that bonsai, you could. I'm sorry, it's political, of course. Yeah. So Luke thinking on defenders. I don't know what he would have for the Whisper for it should be a really valid military attack, but I would imagine it would be a quick defense for him. But takes air. Oh, Luke chooses to not defend the conflict. It's an air ring. So as I've mentioned a few times, not. I mean, taking him down to 5 honor is not going to be terrible. And he has a military attack back. It's interesting. So interested to see where Luke's going to go with this. Because of course, winning the ring is as good as having a one glory character standing for favor, which he currently does have. And it would be difficult outside of a for shame. Okay, so yep, Student of Law wins that conflict. Takes 1 honor from Luke. And we'll see. Luke's got a military conflict left, which obviously the Doji Whisperer can initiate. He's going to need some sort of pump because the favor's still on political, as you always do against Crane. So heading into... So I mean, I can only imagine he has a bonsai, some military pump here. Heading on the fire ring. Okay. I mean, obviously dishonoring, either honoring Hasami or dishonoring the Doji Challenger would be quite nice. Maybe honoring Hasami just to keep your voices of honor on for quite a while. Student of Law dropped in on Chutereve's side. So defender, attacker win conflict. He did have a katana to win this conflict on the Doji Whisper. Bit of investment on a character with no fate, and we see a for shame. So how many for shames is that on Chutereve's side at this point? All 3. The third for shame. Bows the Whisper. So Chutereve is going to claim the favor. So we'll see if Yoshi pops up or not here for him. And then going to the next round. Fate, basically the same. Board, I would say in Chutereve's favor. Not by a lot. Cards, Chutereve has a significant advantage. 8-3 is starting to get a little more pronounced now. Same relative number, but 3 versus 8 is quite, I think, a lot more advantage than it would be like 11-16 or something. We see Luke by Doji Challenger as he's first player with his Doji Challenger. We see Yoshi with a Yoshi dupe. Well, that's the great time for favor to flip back there. I wonder if Luke is reconsidering the no block on the Student of Law there. Although he could have got for shamed. He would have just got for shamed in the same situation as well. So I think favor was going to shoot regardless here. And a guest of honor, yeah. Luke's pointing out, Luke and Shoot both pointing out this is quite a good flip. What choices? I think Yoshi is the better choice here. Just if anything, if only just because you have the dupe as well. So, and you already have card advantage. So bigger card advantage may not be as important as catching up, but still pretty nice to have in this matchup, especially with no guest on the other side from Luke now. So you can free to play all these cards you'll be scooping up. I mean, Luke going first for the Doji Challenger is nice. I mean, Yoshi will still get to use his ability, but not necessarily his 6, political beat stick skill level. Both did 5. So Crane's going to bid 5 until they're at 3 honor, I think, here. Barring the 2 assassinates. So Doji Challenger with favorable ground is also nice. I mean, if the Yoshi tries to win the conflict after pulling the Yoshi in, Doji Challenger can just exit and leave a very pumped up um, Angry Yoshi on defense. Yeah, so they both bid 5. They both talk about it in chat, where it's they don't seem to be too worried about the honor either direction. This is going to be a win by break, I think, is what it's the Crane way. They're not gonna try to dishonor each other. They're making a gentleman's pact here, even though some you might spoil that a bit. Meek Informant comes down. We see Luke Bitmetal has. Sorry for anyone who's not familiar with the Bitmetal is Luke. Luke, generally what he's called. He's got a Court Games in hand, a Fine Katana, a For Shame. Oh, his third For Shame, I believe. A Miyamoto's Fury. Not helpful against some of the characters. A Noble Sack, which is, but he doesn't have his voice on. No, neither player has his voice on. Ornate Fan, Steward of Law of his own. Good combination with the For Shame, obviously, and his own Voice of Honor in hand. It's got some interesting stuff there. I don't. It's gonna be with no honored or dishonored characters on either side, and only the one Court Games in his hand. It might be tough to get off that Noble Sack, but obviously that'd be a huge play if he could. Now that Shooter knows about it, obviously he'd be definitely playing around it as hard as he can. And with the Shamefuls revealed and broken, then or have they been revealed? Sorry, all these guys. I think Fertile Field Meditation. No, the Shameful is still on Shoot side, but it's gone on Luke's side. So, the sort of insta noble sack of Shameful display is not is not on as it is sometimes in early rounds of the game. Yep. So walk into Court Games firing Noble Sack. Okay. Nick's being helpfully pointing out how Shoot could walk into the Noble Sack. I guess he solved the puzzle of how to get your Yoshi Noble sacked. Okay, so we see a attack with the Void Ring. Makes sense. It looks like he's considering a Yoshi defense. He has his own Doji Challenger. I mean, certainly if he wants to prevent this attack from succeeding, he can block with his own Doji Challenger, giving him a higher military strength. But he obviously doesn't want to defend with the Doji Challenger. And with a favorable ground on Luke's side, I'm sure he's happy to tie up as many characters as he can in this attack. So, yeah, no defense. Shoot uses Manicure Garden to gain a Fate. So who is the Doji Challenger going to opt to pull in? So he can pull in Yoshi, just to take away the 6 strength. He can also pull in Shoot's own Doji Challenger and then use his favorable ground to leave. That's an option. Just take that Doji Challenger off the table. Well, Charge, Luke pointing out the Charge is a little too good here for his liking, but to be fair, Charge is very good for him as well if he had it. I mean, he could charge Hotaru and favor grounder out, so that would also be pretty good. But, I mean, Hotaru, unfortunately being no Totori, needs a favorable ground for the Charge to make her disgusting. Yep, Doji Challenger pulls in Yoshi. So that's good. He's continuing to win the conflict, and takes the 6 political off the board for this turn. Yoshi discards the favor, draws 3 cards, reduces the cost of events this conflict. He's a courtier. Well, no, for shame. Let's see. What events might he want to use in this military conflict? Not a ton. With all the for shames gone, I don't know if he's running like a wit or something. Check the deck list quick. See what options he has in terms of his defense. Oh well, yeah, Fate Worse Than Death. It's not the worst thing on the Challenger, but he doesn't have enough Fate for that. Even reduce the cost of events. No, he should have enough. Yep. So he could Fate Worse Than Death the Doji Challenger here, which might be an option. Prevent the Void Ring and take a Fate off the Doji Challenger and dishonor it. If he has it, I think it's something he might be considering. Bitmetal has passed as he's currently won. So it's back to shoots court. 15 cards, more than is left in his deck. So I'm sure he's got tons of options to consider here. A little choking back and forth in the chat about shoot thinking, and then Luke joking that he only has 14 cards. Could be so tough. Oh, so he bonsais his Yoshi with kicker. I can only imagine. Yes, with kicker to take it to a winning position. So Luke drops into Steward of Law, and we know his hand. We know he has the For Shame. So I would think that, I mean, given that he bonsai'd, I would think that Shoot doesn't answer to this. He knew about the Steward For Shame. Of course, getting, oh, charge. There we go. There's the answer. Free charge. Charges in, using you with Loshi's ability. So charges in, prevents the For Shame. Taking his own defense up to 7, sorry. And attacking only 4. So Challenger's going to need a significant boost that's not an event, because Guest of Honor is in now, to win this. So I wonder if Luke's considering favorable ground at this point. That maybe you just let this one go. Seems like a difficult... Yeah, Joe's saying in chat that it's the only game where you see people, yeah, hands larger than their decks. That's definitely struck me in this game. I mean, in Conquest, which played a fair amount, like sort of the last year of its life, you could see that sometimes too, especially when Shrieking Exarch came into play. I can remember being worried in several games at one of the worlds of decking myself and losing that way. But yeah, it was still, it's much more common in this game to see huge hands than it was even in Conquest and other games. That was something struck me in this game when I first started playing. 17 card hands. Was not something you'd tell stories about, because it wasn't super rare. It was uncommon, but not super rare. Okay, so Bitmetal is momentarily flummoxed by Shoot's play. They're bantering back and forth in chat, and he's got to think this one through, see what he should do. Try to win the conflict, give it up, etc. He still had one break. I think definitely down on board at this point. Fate's about even. Cards obviously has kind of since turn 2 been a bit of a problem on Luke's side. But he did get those 2 quick early breaks, which I think were really solid, giving a lot of options, and he can choose to either play more defensively or aggressively and put the pressure on. So he's given him some flexibility there. So he's passed. Oh, he's passed. Okay, so didn't opt for the favorable ground. Probably going to use it in another conflict. Political side, maybe. Yeah, Joe, I think personally, that's the play I would have made. Now, I'm about 1,000th the Crane player. These guys are played Crane a few times. So, I'm sure there's something else going on in his mind with the favorable ground. Or sometimes with holdings. I mean, these non-crab players, they just don't watch their holdings close enough. Sometimes they forget about them. As opposed to us crab players who sometimes forget about our characters and just think about our holdings. Yeah, the favorable ground could be used as an anti-challenger tech. That makes sense. It's true. It's very valuable for that, for the attacking challenger to stymie that. So when he pulls in your Hasami, you can pull her out with favorable ground. So it's probably more valuable for that at this point. Although that challenger with Katana, knowing what we know about what's left in Luke's hand, I think... no, because he's going to flip over. He knows about the Fury, so he flips over the Province. It's going to take Fury off the table. And we know there's a For Shame still left in Luke's hand. So he could use the Steward and a For Shame to prevent the break here. Yeah, Yusuke, yes, I do. Yes, I do know about Yusuke. Okay, so we have a pretty hefty military attack coming in here at 6 with his own Steward of Law. Let's see if Luke opts to block with the Steward of Law, knowing he has his own for shame to fix the challenger, but he knows Shoot knows that, so interesting. Yeah, there's an interesting kind of dynamic going on here, knowing what's with both players knowing what's in Luke's hand and not vice versa. That is it a mind game? Does Shoot have an answer to this for shame? Um, Heading into Man Card Garden, so Seeker Fate and an additional Fate probably welcome for Luke here. Luke considering his defensive options. Obviously, defends the one character challenge. Going to pull in somebody as the favorable ground, so that's kind of a moot point thinking-wise here. Just determine whether he's going to defend at all, I think. Because he is up on one break. He can choose to... Oh, okay, so he defends the military conflict with Hasami with 1. Okay, 1 military strength. So, still breaking. Policy debate, possibly. Then he could policy debate and run. Oh no, because then Challenger just pull him back in. Interesting. Luke saying he forgot something. So I wonder what it was. Because yeah, it's not what I was thinking of first for this defense. In terms of defending with Asami, who has a politically based ability. Luke, being the gentleman he is, asking him that if he'd rather go back. Luke saying nope. Invitational games, very serious. Everyone's very friendly in the Discord league. It's a great community. So certainly people are casual if you just make mistakes, interface issues and stuff like that. But Luke declining. Shoot passes as he's still breaking, of course. For shame, bows the Doji Challenger. Yeah, there's already Steward Law. Oh, of course. Yes, I missed that. There's a Steward Law of attacking. You don't need to defend with your own Steward of Law. Yeah, that makes sense. How many stewards do you really need to pull that combo off? Just the one, and the attacker brought it with you. What brought it with them? So, but attacker still winning, 1-1. Another Titanic goes down on Asami, so now she's winning. Water Ring. Water Ring to stand Yoshi. Yeah, this is a fairly important, obviously an important ring here. You don't want Yoshi standing up for either the political defense, which I'm not sure that he would defend against a Steward, with a known for shame in hand, or for the attack. So, winning this will certainly go a long way in preventing a break politically by Shoot, although he still is the rival in the meek informant, so he can still put 4 strength covert. We have an admit defeat. Certainly it was a very popular card in core, and I usually see, I don't know, between 0 and 2, I think, in Crane decks. Still a strong card, especially coupled with stuff like Doji Challenger and Kikita Kaizen, where you can engineer those situations when you're being defended by one opponent. So Sami's bowed. Let's see what Luke can do to prevent this break here. He can move in the Steward of Law, but that's just going to tie it. Luke saying it seems like a good card. Yeah. I don't think he has any other military buffs if he does move in the Steward of Law. Shoot noting the 3-way of the cranes early, but at the same time, I mean, Shoot has 3-4 shames pretty quick too, and the Steward of Law is to to them. So I think with these characters having ripped through most of their decks, or a lot of their decks at this point, they've seen all the cards. I think they're just kidding with one another. So yeah, Luke passes. Looks like we're going to get, I would imagine, a Yoshi being stood up here. I mean, bowing a Steward of Law is something, but it's certainly not as good as unbowing your Yoshi. Does Shoot have anything to push through the break? I don't think so at this point. He's gone through most. Oh no, he's got a bonsai. Sorry, again. I came in just a little late. I didn't get a chance to look over deck lists as closely as I'd like to when I cast, but so I'm guessing a little bit too. But you know, we can just watch the action unfold. Obviously, don't need to predict the future. Uh, oh, we get a Fury. Interesting. That was interesting. So he was willing to let the win go to straighten the Yoshi, but when the break came around, then the Fury came out. Good, good play by Luke. Very savvy, as it were. Because if I was Shoot, I wouldn't have thought he had it. Again, that he was going to give up the water ring. And okay. So the ring goes back into the pool. Um, and we head over to Luke's turn. He has just the Steward of Law. Seeing how there's Covert on the other side, I don't think there's any point in not doing something with it, at least forcing it some sort of defense. You can head back to Manicure Garden, which is a used province already. And I think even just if the Mika defend, well, no, but it's political, of course, the Crane use box. So unless you can get some additional strength on the Steward, he's just going to get bowed anyway. So he's going to get coverted or bowed. It's not a great choice for the Steward, and he's 0 glory, so sitting there doesn't do him a whole lot either. Interesting. Let's see. And I believe Luke does not have, no, he has no conflict characters in his hand currently, as we know of. So that Steward is, he's got kind of a, seems like a spurious choice at this point. Yeah. Yeah, and the use box, you're right. And Joe points out that the political rival is not going to break on political rival would be conformant are not going to break either because of use box on that side. So he could, I mean, keep the Steward on defense just so you don't have the unopposed, but you have the favorable ground for that, which is going away anyway. Yeah. Oh, Luke's saying he's thinking about something that seems wasteful or not. If something seems wasteful or not. Oh, yeah, he drops the fan. Yep. So that's what he had to think through. He has a character with no fate on it, and he's using up one of his 4 cards. He's saying he thinks it's wasteful, but he's going to go for it anyway. I mean, this does get him a ring win if there's no political rival defense, which I'm sure he's happy to take the political rival defending this because that stops the incoming attack. And you know, as we see with camis, people are willing to pay 2 fate for a ring win. So I'm not sure the Ornate Fan is that wasteful in this point. Obviously, he'd like to get a break if he can, but he's contesting firing. Obviously, yeah, Isami or his own Doji Challenger, very good targets for that. We know he has a voice in hand. So Shoot might have Assassination here. How many has he played? Has he played any? No, Shoot saying he forgot. Shoot forgot something as well. Sami moves in, yeah, with the favorable ground. Takes an honor from opponent. Makes sense. Oh, and he uses the court games to honor Asami. Okay, in the conflict, sure. So he can get 2 honor characters going into next round if he wins, if he's able to win this conflict. Counter court games from Shoot, which makes sense, given how many cards he has in his hand. Luke does win the fire ring and honors his Doji challenger. It's going to be around the longest. Plus, you know, and a big military body on the table. It's pretty good in this matchup. We'll see how Shoot what Shoot does for the backswing here. With no defenders and no conflicts left on the other side, I imagine he's just going to come in both characters. Sure, we'll use box on conform it, but back to Manicured Garden. So does Shoot have? Well, he could do it. Is he? How many stewards? I think he's down all stewards. Let's take a look. 1 in the bin. 1. No, he has 1 left. It seems, and he possibly has a fan. 1 fan, 2 fans. Yeah, he should. So he's got, I think, fan or steward after the box is used to possibly break this province. And Luke passes. Oh, he forgot to use his own box momentarily, but he's asking for a box use. Certainly, since no action's been taken, I think that's completely valid. So he bows to me conform it to prevent the break. Oh, there's the fan. Of course, being this, you know, being through 75% of your deck, 3 fans is not particularly surprising. Drops it on the political rival. 2 cards in hand. Neither one of this can. I think he's still sitting on his for shame with his Steward of Law. He still has that card. And what else does he have? Oh, and the Voice of Honor. So yeah, that's not gonna help prevent this break. So I think this break's going through, evening up the breaks. Honor will be 4 to 6 hands. 1 to 8. So that's concerning. Oh, it was an airing as well. Oh, and chooses to gain 2 honor. Okay, so evening it up to 6 to 6. All right, on the unopposed. Into next round we go. 2 breaks to 2 breaks. Fate slightly in Luke's favor. Board definitely in Shoot's favor. It's definitely. It's not super strongly, but I think Yoshi's still worth quite a bit with favor in this matchup. So we'll see if he drops his bid to 1 at this point. I mean, 6 to 6 honor is getting to someplace you can work with, and if you have Yoshi, you know, you can draw 4 cards to your opponent's 1 if they both bid 1, or you can put a lot of honor pressure on. First player back to Luke. He sitting on a flip to no Wishma, a Kaizen, a Whisper, and a Hataru. On the other side, we also have a Hataru. We have a Kasami dupe, which is nice to see. Another Kaizen on Luke's side, and Rishma. So it's very similar. three of the 4 characters are the same for the crane. Well, it is the mirror, but still that's a little striking. And difference being the Whisper and Hasami. So we see Hataru come out with 3. So all of Fate for Shoot. So Shoot definitely still thinking this game's going to go a couple more rounds to invest like that in Hataru. I mean, we could see. I don't think Luke should back down. I think she should buy Hataru with 5 and just say, "What up? My Hataru is going to be here forever." No, I don't really think. I don't really think you should say Hataru with 5. But dupes Hasami, yeah. But let's see, what does he buy here? I mean, maybe you can pull some tricks off the Kaizen. I mean, Narishma gives you the military advantage. I don't know. I mean, certainly buy something, 10 Fate, but you're not first player, so you'd just be defending with your Hataru probably to stop his Hataru. Well, no, it's very difficult to stop his Hataru. Yoshi, there's 12 political, or they could add a political rival for 5, political and covert, so that Hataru is coming through. depending on what the bids are, maybe in the, I would think, I don't know what ring he would Hotaru. Void obviously is always strong. I mean, you can definitely do some massive damage to the opponent's board with a double Void ring, but Earth ring. Well, no, Earth ring probably could just clear his hand out. I don't know if that's that worth it. Water doesn't buy you a ton, so we'll see. Anyway, that's a little further after Luke decided what he's going to buy and bids. So we'll see what the Hotaru comes with. Certainly a very imposing board on Shoot's side. Yoshi and Hotaru and a 5 military strength challenger and a 5 military strength rival. So that's pretty impressive board here. We're in turn 5, but still. Gets Narishima. It doesn't do the Narishima flip, which I think, I mean, you can always just go for the YOLO sort of dupe of Narishima. So since Shoot passed, I think that was a minor misstep. Maybe not. We'll see. Bit draws 3, because he's got to get some cards into his hand. And Shoot draws 1, so dropping the air honor to 4. So Earthring, I think Earthring Hotaru might be a good solid choice here. With the political rival to go around the other Hotaru. Although that Hasami is a pretty decent defense too, but not outweigh the crane on Hotaru, so we have a 9 strength. So yeah, so 14 political attack. Military is probably going to go, political is probably going to go through. Shoot could also use a challenger, something you want to use early. Pull in your opponent's Hotaru, so she can't double ring you. That's probably a better play. Prevent that from going off. We'll see. I mean, at 4 honor, certainly a double air ring would hurt, but I think it's not. 4 is still high enough that I don't know if you want to waste your Hotaru this turn on air for that. Something kind of where you want to threaten the win, I think, by dishonor if you're going to go air with Hotaru. So he passes, so yep, Shoot's going to go the challenger play, which makes a lot of sense. He used the option to just ensure that Luke's Hotaru is not going to do any damage this turn. Heading into fertile fields. So certainly that's going to tilt heavily back to Shoot when Yoshi fires. But with this fertile fields, Luke could head up to 5 cards, so it's closing that gap a bit from 1 to, I believe it was 1 to 7 at the end of the start of the round. So is Luke going to defend at all? I mean, if he doesn't defend, then the Doji Challenger may just not be used, get the break, and then we're on to Stronghold with a covert, massive political force. It's not good. But if he does defend, he's going to end up over-defending because of the Challenger. But, that's the magic of the Challenger, right? Do this kind of stuff. So he does opt to defend with Narishima. So if Hotaru is pulled in, which I would imagine what Shoot's considering, then he's going to lose the challenge, but losing the challenge on defense is not terrible. Oh, he's turning Narishima, of course, that makes sense because it's a water ring. So Narishima is going to get bowed anyway. I'm sure he really would like to prevent this break as well. Oh, interesting. Yeah, challenges is an interesting dynamic here because there's challenges on both sides. So attacking with Chutereve attacking with his challenger means he can pull in Luke's Hotaru, but of course Luke has his own challenger and Shoot has his own Hotaru. So I would imagine we're going to see the same thing the other way with Hotaru being pulled into a military challenge on defense. She doesn't necessarily want to be in, but Shoot could also challenger the challenger. Meaning he'll most likely lose the conflict, but take that option up the board. So interesting. So either both Hotarus get their turn, or no Hotarus get their turn. It seems. I'm sure that Luke would love to get off. He would love to get off a Hataru Earth Ring. I bet. Luke saying he doesn't want to straight up lose the game to Bonsai. I think, yeah, and Shoot has played two, but 8 cards left in deck. It's not unreasonable that he has one. Uh, yeah, and Voice of Honor's turned off for both players, so he can't stop it necessarily. But I believe that Luke still, let's see, I think he still has that one for shame in his hand. I mean, if he's really worried about that, you think he could put the Steward in, and oh, okay, he's defended with his own challenger right away. So it means he's winning the conflict, but that means that challenger couldn't pull in, Hataru into something that the defender's already winning and eat up a lot of Luke's board here. Narishma flips Akasha Scout. So we've seen surprisingly few policy debates for this match. This matchup. Let's see. Shoot still has 2 in his hand or deck, and Luke has 2 in his hand or deck. So I guess they just haven't found good opportunities, or haven't found them yet. But uses Fertile Fields to draw a card. Pulls in Hasami. Interesting. Pulls in Hasami. I guess honor is becoming a thing now, or definitely another pressure point for Shoot. Although he's probably going to break his third province this turn too. But if he pulls in Asami into this conflict, then it takes away the ability to use that in a political conflict. So defender definitely way winning on this, but bows out 3 characters as a result of this conflict. Pretty solid. So what should Luke do here? I mean, his Hataru will just get coverted on the way back. It doesn't seem useful. And similarly with the Steward. So, I mean, you could Hataru Steward, attack and threaten the for shame I think he has in his hand, I'm pretty sure. Although, and try to get off, a double ring effect of your own, and try to take one off the table you don't want your opponent to have. I think Earth would be a good choice for Luke here. I think it'd be very difficult to prevent this third break, even if you pass your conflict. I mean, it's gonna be hard to get a break of your own because there's a potential 9 defend. All the characters are at least 6, with Yoshi being the worst defender on the other side. Which is a strange thing to say, that Yoshi's your worst political defender standing. Political rivals 8, Totaro's 9. Looks like he's thinking about just a Steward of Law attack. You could certainly do a Steward of Law military and just not necessarily force the defense, but be something that Shoot would have to over defend. No, it looks like he's thinking about both, so I'm guessing it's going to be a political attack. That's 7. Since the political rival's covert isn't necessary anymore, he could defend just with the rival at strength 8 and be winning with the one character. Of course, for shame, it's always the thing, but if Shoot has another court games, he can turn on his Voice of Honor, and he's got first action. Yeah, taking the Steward, I mean, it's a political conflict, so it's going to get bowed. In the end, he opts with a Hataru attack on the Manicure Gardens. And there's a Looks like it. Well, with only Stewart. So Shoot deciding how much defense he wants to shoot, and he ends up putting in a lot. 14 political strength defense. Yoshi gives up the favors first action, draws deeper into his deck. Yeah, I mean, to use Yoshi, you have a 9 strength Hataru against a 1 strength Stewart, so you don't necessarily need that much firepower to get your own break on the other way. So this makes sense. You just ensure that the um, so Shoot cancels court games by using the political rival, 0 glory character. Very good choice. Because that court games would have turned on Voice of Honors for Luke. Luke passes. He's giving up the conflict. Gain a fate from Manicure Garden on Shoot's side. So options for Hataru still have that Earth Ring, which probably looks pretty juicy with the Fate and um, on it, and the double Hataru trigger with it. Certainly, really accentuating that card advantage. So the Stewart, he can block to prevent the unopposed. I mean, he's going to get bowed, and he's also going to get rolled over by a 9 strength Hataru. Or he could leave the Stewart for the military poke. I think that might be the play, even though Honor's getting a little dicey here. Shoot goes fire. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, that's true. He can turn on. He can certainly honor 2 of his characters. You have 3 of them honored going into the next round, which is pretty strong, especially given those stats. I mean, 3 glory and a 2 glory character. So I would imagine Luke will probably not defend here and strike back with the Steward of Law on Earth military. It's any number of things you could do to stop that, but at least make him do some resources, because the Steward, I think, is just not going to be able to stop this break with 4 cards in hand. Yep, no defense for Telefield. Gets crushed for the 3rd province break for Shoot. He honors Yoshi, and with the ring effect and with the Hataru effect, it's going to be a he could dishonor Asami, or he could honor his own, dishonoring the challenger. Okay, yeah, so he just chooses to dishonor the challenger, which makes a lot of sense. So now we have a 2 honored characters sticking around next side. For Shoot to 0, and the challenger would have probably been used in the first conflict next turn, so it's 2 glory. It's either your challenger or Luke's challenger as a choice, so makes sense. We'll see what this plucky little Steward of Law can do on the military challenge. Of course, I mean, if he's able to win this challenge, the other good thing about keeping the Steward back is you can tie favor. Which, unless, I mean, 10 cards in hand, there's a pretty decent chance you can do something about this, but if you can tie favor, you can prevent the Yoshi activation. Nope, another Stewart comes down on the other side. They can bow each other and in this conflict. It's currently 1-1, attacker winning. Obviously, Shoot's got something else planned, so they can bow each other in this conflict, and then the Shoot will get the ring, as he's got 2 rings to 1 right at this point. Oh no, Shoot opts for a bonsai and uses 1 honor to kick it. Luke passes, letting the conflict go. So that means Favor will stay with the Yoshi packing Chutereve as we head into the next turn with Luke, turn 6 with Luke becoming first player. Luke Choki, then he made him spend 2 cards, which is not nothing. It really isn't. I mean, for a Steward of Law, 1 Fate Steward of Law, to gain a Fate from a ring and get your opponent to spend 2 cards is actually a win, right? It helps overall both straight. Significant. Political Rivals gone, thankfully. Let's see how many Political Rivals have been used. Mostly for the covert factor. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh no, did you just hit the bin? Yeah. So 2 Political Rivals have been used because being able to covert around Hataru or Hasami is pretty significant. So having off that board's good. Of course, you can. Yeah, Yoshi, Joe pointing out how many Yoshi's netted 9 cards. That's pretty crazy. I mean, way more than makes up for, for the honor differential in the card. And he's almost solely responsible for the, or he's solely responsible for the card advantage. Chutereve has enjoyed for the last like 2 or 3 turns. Okay, so Cautious Scout is kept, and I guess just to have the body. No, sorry, spoke too soon. Cautious Scout is removed. Yeah. Oh, it's his own Yoshi. Probably less happy about seeing Yoshi at this point. He's got a Savvy. I think all his way elves are used. How many court games has he used? 1, 2, 3. So all the court games and all the ways are gone. So that Savvy is certainly not looking as good. Okay, so he does buy the Yoshi. I mean, it is 6 political strength, which is what your your opponent's going to attack on. And he has a dupe for it, so good old discount. On the other side, we have a Hataru duplicate on Chut's side. We have a Brash Samurai, not as good now, but still pretty solid. We got a Shizue. I don't know how strong she is at this point because I don't know how many more rounds are left for her to keep sticking around. She does buy the Brash Samurai with 1. So Yoshi being duped, so he's up to 2 Fate. I'd imagine Chut senses the end. No, he's the first to pass. He wants to get that pass Fate. Doesn't go with the Whisper, and doesn't dupe his Hataru, even though the Hataru is going away. Not that big of a deal. His Hataru still has 2 Fate, so possibly up to 3 rounds more. So probably better to get the passing Fate if you're not gonna buy the Whisper. Bitmetal draws 2 cards, taking him down to 2 honor. Dangerous with an opposing. I mean, you're first, so you can take Air Ring off the table, and Chut draws 1. I mean, with Favor and Yoshi still on the board, I mean, he has to worry about his deck cycling, taking him down to bad honor as well. So that was a heads-up play, I think, because if he would have drew 2 and used Yoshi and Hataru, oh no, he would have still been, and Hataru attacked double air. Then whenever he had to refill his conflict deck, he would have lost. But that's not going to happen now. He has 4 cards. Yeah, again, as a crab player, I'm not familiar with this running out of conflict deck dynamic of the game. It's not anything I really ever think about, unless I manage to get Spyglass on Crisis Breaker for the entire game or something, a double Spyglass. The now being killed by Satoshi on Dynasty deck is something I'm very familiar with. So. Okay, so Luke has first attack. He has a challenger, and he's looking at a pretty massive attack coming down on a stronghold. I would imagine he's considering how he's the most of maximal use for that challenger to take political stats off the board. I mean, he's got 2 characters with 9 political that he could target here. Say what you want about the Crane Mirror, and it it is kind of one-sided on guests of honors and voice and honored characters and stuff like that. But it's nice, at least for me, not to see any Cloud the Mind displayed in 6 turns. All the characters get to use their abilities. Everybody gets to do what they do. Well, okay, barring events, you don't get to do that. But at least your characters get to do things. Okay, so we head in with the challenger. Ring choice. Had two honor. I gotta think air is be a really good choice here. Just so you don't have to worry about just straight up losing to Hotaru if she wins the conflict. Oh, contesting the fire ring. Interesting. He must think he can defend a Hotaru air attack. So he's, oh, actually no, he can challenge her in Hotaru, right? So he doesn't have to worry about Hotaru air. And then if he is able to honor one of his own 3 glory characters, that helps quite a bit on defense. Like, yep, definitely, I can see that line of play. So we see the brash defending. So on board, he can honor himself and be winning this conflict. Um, Plus Manicure Garden. Manicure Garden just generating cash here. I think that's 3, maybe 4 fate off that Manicure Garden. Taru gets pulled in by the challenger. And Nick's lamenting. Yeah, I love watching high level L5R play. Nick's this game go on for a couple more rounds, and you know what, it might. Now that Hotaru's in, let's see. Then the political attack is somewhat more muted, but he might get it on military too. Yeah, he's definitely in danger, but he could get another round or two out of this game. Luke could hold on, and maybe turn it around. We'll see. Yeah, it's an interesting. Luke drops a cameo unleashed, which is again a new sort of thing that I see in a lot of Crane decks to fire off that fire ring, which is obviously something they love to do as much as possible, dishonoring the Yoshi, further muting the political attack. But not muting the 3 cards he's going to draw. Well, if he does draw 3 cards, I wonder. I mean, 3 cards is very good at this point, but he does have a pretty distinct card. He still has a 4 card advantage. Plus, this is going to turn into a defensive slog. Ripping yourself down to 2 honor. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, we see the challenger come in. Of course, the challenger can pull out a pretty big political defense here because he might have to defend. It's in transposition, so that's a lot of bonsais and katanas to break this. He could go air would seem to make sense. Oh, he's going water. Okay, because an air would force a defense because then you might just flat out lose. Water obviously puts you in a really dangerous position, so you probably have to defend it anyway. Challenger's going to pull someone in. So I would imagine Luke doesn't defend this and then try to save as much as possible for the political attack. Because if he does defend, he's going to end up over defending, and then it's going to be Yoshi and Stewart versus one character. Yep, he's going to risk it. The water ring's going to stand up Hotaru. Yeah, that's pretty strong. So then you'll have 9, 15, 16 coming in on political versus 17. Okay, no, not 17. Since obviously the challenger is going to pull someone in, as they do. Pulls in Hasami. He's still winning the conflict by 2. Of course, I think Bitmetal's gone through most, if not all, of his military. He's got, let's see. He's used 2 bonsais. He's used 2 swords. So he just should have a bonsai. I don't think he has a sword. I think he has 2 swords. So he should have, maybe has a bonsai left to win this conflict. Of course, at 2 honor. Not something you necessarily want to do. action is with Luke or Bitmetal. Luke, considering what he wants to do, he passes. I mean, I think the challenger's done what the challenger wants to do here. Yeah, passes as well. Stands his own Hitaru. So we're looking at 12 to 16. I believe, yeah, 12 to 16 with the favor 17. So not breaking on board, but awfully close. And 9 cards in hand. Yeah, this is looking. Maybe I spoke a little too soon about the possibility of this going a couple more rounds. It's still possible, but Shoot has his voice of honors turned on, and I don't believe he's used. Oh, he's used one voice of honor. So he has possibly, with 4 cards left in deck, a pretty good chance of having 2 voice of honors. And Luke's saying he's dead already, but he'll play it for the fans. Thank you, Luke. Nick's a complaint, but let's play out this last round. See how it goes. Yeah, yeah, because Shoot has to find, I think, 1. Oh no, he's gonna go out swinging. He's gonna attack with his Hitaru. No, he's reconsidering that. Actually, it's gonna be Hitaru Air if he doesn't attack. So yeah, he's really this is okay. Yeah, it's extra dead. I've gotten that factor as well, that the air ring hadn't been taken off the table. Oh, political rival comes down for covert. So now, I mean, if he attacks Hitaru Air, he just has to win, and he wins. So yeah, pass. Doesn't even let Luke use his box. Lisa Stewart at home. In they come, around Yoshi. Uh, 19 to 6. So yeah. The pocket 3 fans in a court game, maybe. If they hadn't all been used. Voice of Honor cancels the Fury on the rival. It's going Void Ring. It seems. I mean, you know you're gonna win, so it doesn't matter one way or the other. But and you wanted to win on break, not dishonor, I guess. You could have won on both, I suppose. Very good game to both opponents. I certainly enjoyed watching it. I hope everyone else did as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Oh, Bitmetal showing what was. Oh, Bitmetal had 2, or Luke had 2 let goes, a Fine Katana, and that Noble Sacrifice we saw quite a while ago. That once somebody sees it, is awfully hard to get off. It isn't even in the best of cases, but when somebody knows it's there, it's super tough. And the let goes weren't gonna do a ton. I mean, certainly fans of katanas can be pretty impactful sometimes, but not kind of what you want. Not what the let goes are in the deck for. Okay, I'm gonna sign off now, and see you guys later. Good thing is we have tons more of great invitational games coming up over this month, and we'll definitely see Shoot again. And well played, Luke. Bye, guys.